So prior to that, Peter and I, well, we met down in England and we moved up to Skye in 1967. Now this house, what is the Three Chimneys, was the house that belonged to his grandfather, and he inherited it, but it had been empty for many, many years. And so we couldn't live in it when we came up to Skye. It was uninhabitable, but we were lent a house in Skinnerden, not far away, and we lived there while we tried to sort of renovate this house so that we could go and live in it. I had a baby at the time when we came up here. My first child was 8 months old. Then I was pregnant again, and we said, right, we better try and get into this house because the house we were in didn't have a proper road up to it. We were a bit off the road. So we moved in, carried on working on it. And in 1960, I decided, we better do something to, make some money so that we could live. And one end of this house had been one of the local shops in his grandfather's day. So it was empty. We were living in the house itself. So I had this bright idea, I'll turn it into a tea room. And we got some chairs and tables, and it was just bare stone walls. And I personally pointed the stonework and sealed it. And as I say, we got hold of some tables and chairs. I can't remember where they all came from. We went to a house sale in Edinburgh and managed to buy a pile of damask tablecloths, which I've still got. And I had some tea sets, quite nice tea sets. I said, well, we've probably got enough, we can use those. And so I opened up a tea room, and it got busy. There were a lot of tourists then. It was amazing. But one afternoon, couple came in and said, have you got anything more substantial than tea and cakes and scones and things? So I said, well, not really. I said, I've got some bacon and egg in the fridge. Oh, that would be wonderful. We've been fishing all day at East Point. We're starving. So I cooked bacon and egg for them and thought, well, obviously there's going to be a demand. So we then started, that was kind of the start of it being more than just a tea room. We carried on with the afternoon teas, which were very popular. I was baking, I don't know how many scones every afternoon and cakes. And then I had to employ somebody to help. I couldn't do it all. I had young children. I had 3 by that time, all under 5. And so anyway, we started serving fish and seafood, and there was lots of it in those days. We had cod, mackerel, lobster, wild salmon. No farm salmon in those days. And I made homemade soup. We didn't do desserts. It was oatcakes and cheese or cake if there was any left from the afternoon. Mackerel and chips, 80p. That's how. And we just got more and more busy, and we applied for a beer license. In those days, you could get just a beer license, no wine or spirits. It was just beer. And a little room at the end of the house was where the beer was kept, and the locals realized there was beer on the go, and they would sneak in the back door, through into the beer cellar, sit on the barrels, and they would just buy beer and drink beer. I mean, it was probably against the, well, it was probably illegal, but it was fun. They enjoyed it. And yeah, I think but in the height of the season, we were doing about 80 meals in the evenings, which was really quite something in those days. I mean, it got really popular. There are still people around that remember it. And I've still got friends who used to come up and stay with us. And I've kept in touch with them over the years. So then, yeah, as Peter said in the film, he started up the museum because he collected stuff to hang on the walls and in the tea room, but there wasn't room for any more. So yeah, they went up to the museum. Incidentally, where I bought the damask tablecloths, I also bought a spinning wheel, which I am still using, and Sue is going to get the benefit of some of that, the use of that, because I've just sent her some hand spun wool. Now this picture, no, that one I went down to Three Chimneys the end of the season last year with one of the girls that worked there. She treated me to a meal, and I took the old pictures down, and all the staff were just, they loved them. They said it was just wonderful. And they recognized whereabouts in the tea room this picture was taken. And yeah, it's a pity that Shirley never acknowledged that she didn't actually start the Three Chimneys, because I think it would have been rather nice to, you know, I think it would have enhanced her if she'd sort of talked about the history of it, but she didn't. I mean, it's a different place now. We were cheap and cheerful, but we would very often in the evenings we would end up having ceilidhs either in the museum or in the tea room itself. We got to know a lot of people who could sing and play guitars and things, and we would go on late into the night, and then I'd have to go out and prepare all the fish that the fishermen had delivered. Before I went to bed, I would get that done, and then we'd sort of tumble into bed to get up again the next day and start baking again and getting ready for all the people coming. It was hard work, but we made lots of friends, and again, it was a shame we couldn't continue with it, but these things happen. Now, this picture was taken after we had sold it, not to Shirley and Eddie, but to Mike and Tina Poins, who took it on for a couple of years, but they weren't very happy here, so they sold it on to Shirley and Eddie. So that's kind of the story of it and how it all started. Yeah, pictures of it hasn't changed a lot when you look at it. It's still looks much the same, but it's very different inside. Very different. So that's really about it. I mean, if anybody wants to ask any more.
Joy, what year did you sell it?
I think we had it for about 12 years. So that would have been 72, 80, probably 1980-ish.
Was it always called the Three Chimneys?
No, I called it Three Chimneys. Three Chimneys is a little hamlet in Kent, near where we used to live.
Oh gosh.
It was, I was going to say it's nothing to do with the fact that there are 3 chimney stacks on the building, but I mean, it seemed sensible, 3 chimneys. It seemed as good as a name as any, but that's where it came from. So,
Joy, presumably the tea room was busy all very much so in the summer, but what did you do with yourselves in the winter, apart from catch up on some well-earned rest?
Catch up on, well, not a lot of rest, because as I say, I had 4 young children in the end, and it was just sort of family, you know, family time in the winter. So when I wasn't pregnant, it was looking after the children. So yeah. Yes, we were always ready to, I mean, it was quite a short season in those days. I don't know, Tim, whether you remember Sky Week.
Yes, very much so. Used to be part of it.
Yes, And that was
And
the
a round
end of
table.
May. That was the end
Always,
of May.
yes, a round table, and very, very, very involved. We used to do the sea angling competition. We used to tie in pool teals, North
Yes.
Sky fishing,
And
and so on.
it was Dame Flora that instigated Sky Week.
Sky Week, indeed.
Yes,
Indeed.
yes. And then when she died, the tourist board decided that they would continue with it, but they made it earlier, and it really never worked the same.
No.
So it kind of died out.
Sky Week was very special.
It was very special. It was, yes.
I mean,
Yes.
just to give the folks here some degree of understanding of the community. Do you remember Sky Week was cancelled one year when that young lad died who just lived along the road from us? A young lad, what, Chris,
He was
13, 14? Everything had been organised.
Yes,
Everything
yes.
had been organised. The young kid, he was 14, I think he died,
Yes.
and we cancelled Sky Week.
It was cancelled. Yeah. Yes.
It
Yes.
just decided it wasn't the thing to do, that somebody
Yes,
who was a very
yes.
famous young Gaelic singer, he'd won
Mhm.
at the Mod. And so that sense of community, I think, Joy, that Christine and I moved into, we all talk about Sky's community. You will
Yes.
know from the 60s, and I know from the 70s and 80s, that Sky community has gone.
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, I mean, when I first came to Skye to live, there were 2 other incomers in Glendale, the Smiths and the Milnes. The rest of the community were all Skye people. And I knew 2 old, pretty old Skye folk who didn't speak any English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't find that now. Yes.
No,
And I mean,
no.
there were even some of them that had never left the island.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was just a different.
It's evolved anyway. It is what it is, and we all still
It is
love
what, absolutely, absolutely.
No question.
Yes, yes.
I thought it was very interesting in the film where he commented on the thousands of English tourists that came. So
There were.
even
I
then.
Yeah, even then. I mean, it was very busy then. Then it got a bit less. It quietened down, and then it gradually built up again to what it is today. But I mean, we had 15,000 visitors to the museum.
It's incredible, isn't it?
In a short season.
And look, the time that those mill wheels, the water wheel took to get from Glasgow on that old Bedford truck.
Yes.
That was a massive journey.
Absolutely.
I mean, Glasgow to Dunvegan today, you think 6, 7, 8 hours tops.
Yes, yes.
But
yes.
that took about 14 or 15 hours.
Oh, I know. I mean, you had a lot of narrow roads and a lot of caravans on the road. I mean, we complain about the camper vans, but it was caravans then, and they were even worse because you couldn't get past them at all.
Yeah, but the cars didn't have any horsepower.
Couldn't get up the hill.
George, just getting back to the tourists for a minute. Of the 15,000 you said, were they mainly English, or were they from overseas as well?
Oh, they were from overseas as well. Yes, because I remember my younger son. He's still is entrepreneurial, and he would be at the ticket office at the museum. But he used to go out in the boat and gather sea urchins, which he would bring back up to the house and clean them out and bleach them and then varnish them and sell them. And he did all sorts of things like that. But one day a gentleman from Canada got talking to him and took to him and invited him out to stay with him in Canada. And so off Ewan went to Canada and I can't remember how long he was away, 2 or 3 weeks. And this man taught him how to do leatherwork and gave him lots of tools. So yes, they were from all over the world. They were from all over the world. Even then, not so many. It was more British, but there were foreign visitors as well. So yeah.
He's now stopped. Now
I think the community has changed a lot.
Sounds as they're moving a mountain.
It's just
Sorry,
So you wanted to ask
I
something?
think it's wood.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Joy.
Yes.
Do you feel the community that you experienced then hasn't remained, or is there still active? What do you feel about the community now?
It's fine. I mean, because it's happened over such a period of years. I've been here 56 years now. So it's evolved. It's different. But I mean, I have to say that
had the film and everything, fantastic film. I mean, you know, a real documentary.
Yes,
With seeing Peter McCaskill as 28-year-old, lovely green eyes.
Very interesting to know about how the community has evolved and how you experience it. You have been here for a long time.
I mean, I still have friends, Skye friends, who have grown old with me. There are still some left.
I know I've lost
I mean, for instance, the Mackenzies, who had the old school restaurant, Marianne and Hugh, and they were from Skye, but they came back to Skye, having been away, and they renovated the old school and turned it into a restaurant. So yes, Hugh's gone now, but Marianne's still there. So yes, I still have old friends, but I've got new friends as well. I mean, U3A, look at U3A. I mean, it's wonderful. And I also run the Macular Society group for Skye and Loch Alsh. And so I've made friends through that.
So I managed to turn it off by then just by moving the thing, which is annoying. I think that's
well, I think through this the COVID situation we're in, I think
Who's the interviewer?
The
interviewer. This is just the Skye 3A people gathered, and he's the head of this Skye, I think.
Hang on.
Go on.
Yeah, all right. The community spirit has come back, and I think we've all experienced it with the support that each of the local communities have.
Yes.
So in a small way, we can sort of understand that even better now, I think.
I think yes. I think you're absolutely right. That yes, I mean, I have, for the Macular Society, by the very nature of macular problems, a lot of people can't see, so we can't do Zoom, but we have telephone conference calls every month. But I phone round to all my members every month, and it's brought us, I think it has brought us together, and I have acquired 5 new members during this period, which is quite incredible. So yes, the community spirit, I think, has but probably people are more dependent now on each other because of the situation we're in, and from that point of view, it's been really rather nice.
Yes.
Can I just ask you a question about Three Chimneys again?
Yes.
I'm just curious about how and why it became so popular that it's inaccessible to most of the local people, and even people who have moved to Skye to spend that much money to have a meal. What's your view about that?
It's an interesting one. I think hospitality has become such a big thing that the sort of higher up the scale you are, the more publicity you get, the more money you can ask. I think it's just the way things are. It's a pity that, sorry?
No, you carry on. I've got something to say, but I'll wait till you've finished.
Okay. I think it's a pity. It's not just eating places. It's also, I mean, bed and breakfast. I mean, I even did bed and breakfast in Three Chimneys. I had a couple of rooms upstairs, and we lived in a caravan in the summer. I mean, there was no ensuite then. It was
all been
very
back to
basic.
the Chimneys. It's been about the mill at Glendale, mostly.
Pardon?
That's all right. Carry on.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was, people were much more satisfied with basic, you know, they weren't looking for sort of top class hotels. And I mean, yeah, obviously there were a few people that were, but on the whole, people were coming up for the scenery, for, you know, just for the feel of Skye or the Highlands. And yeah. But I think now there's this competition, you know, we must have ensuite and we must have this, we must have that. And I think it's just the way it is, not just here, but everywhere.
Yeah, so going back to the cost of staying or eating at the Three Chimneys, I mean, they can command whatever they like, and there's no shortage of people with plenty of money to afford what they're charging. And it's not just the Three Chimneys. You've got Kinloch Lodge and the Scabos and of this world. You know, the huge demand for high quality accommodation and food is just enormous. Well, obviously not at the moment, but generally, and it's quite incredible. When we had the business, we supplied the linen for the Three Chimneys, and napkins were the bane of my life, because we had thousands and thousands of them. But you know, there was one weekend that the Three Chimneys was taken over by the family from Monaco. The royal family, and they just all came in by helicopter. They stayed, they did this, that, and the other, and you know, money no object. So filling the rooms was never a problem. In fact, Shirley and Eddie were looking at putting on more rooms because the demand was so huge. But in the end, they retired instead. Yes, but it's quite incredible. Well, they're actually the present owner has now got planning permission for a house just down from me to turn that into more hotel rooms. Yeah, I'm not surprised because 6 rooms is just aren't enough. I mean, we didn't want it. We didn't want it to happen. We opposed it, but it's gone through anyway. So because it's a private road up here. But yes, but the Three Chimneys is good for all the local businesses, the B&Bs round and about, because they only have 6 rooms and they feed 50 or 80 people a night. So those people have got to stay somewhere. So
let's keep doing this. I think I'm going to have to go.
Who was that?
That's right. It's
the gremlin.
Jasmine, yeah. So I think she's talking off about the meeting to someone. So it's just a little just this bit distorting. So I'm just
I think it's Jasmine, and she hasn't she hasn't joined in before. Yeah.
But no, because we've noticed, certainly in the 14 years that we've been here, the change in just the cafe culture has gone up and up and up, because everyone says, well, you know, they're doing this, I need to do a bit more. So, and then the food thing, you think about how much television cooking
thought it was me
competition there is on the television, in the media. So it's answering that call as well, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I think it's a great pity that there's not a lot more cheap and cheerful, particularly now when people can't go abroad. I mean, this coming summer, I just don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting, because I think people will be, wanting cheaper and more cheerful, and the prices will have to come down to get the people through. I think
so. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yes.
We have some people who come and stay with us in the past, stayed with us in the past, and often we hear that Three Chimneys is so famous, it was on our bucket list, and we had to do it. So it's this thing about image that people fall for.
Yes.
And are prepared to pay quite a lot of money.
Yes.
For a meal.
And they come with very well dressed. They have outfits to go there. It's amazing. I like. Just.
Yes. I mean, as I say, I did go down, but it was Jess. She's Italian, and she was working there, and she lives in a house just near me. Well, she's not there now. She's back in Italy, but she said, "Would you like to come down for a meal? I'll treat you," and she did, and it was, I mean, the food was, it was very nice, but very fussy. Too many things on the plate. Too many different things on the plate. You know, give me a good steak pie with vegetables.
Yeah, it's quite interesting over the last couple of years. We have. I used to do the B&B, but we had one guest from Switzerland who was over here with a student. He was a university professor. His student who he was tutoring, he brought him up. And they were going for a meal at the Three Chimneys, and they stayed with us, and he mentioned it in his email that that's what they were doing. So at about 6 o'clock, he came down absolutely puckily dressed, really, really smart. And he said, we're just popping over to the Three Chimneys now for our meal. How long will it take me to walk? Yes. So I said, when you booked, did you check the address? So he said, yes, well, that's Colbost and we're Carbost. Yeah, so I had to very quickly jump them in the car and drive them there. Yeah. But the latest thing, of course, is that the big thing in the Three Chimneys now is that you eat in the kitchen.
Yes. Oh, yes, and it costs you twice as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We had mixed reviews. Some people said, oh, it was brilliant. Other people said it was okay. For me, it's too, like you, Joy, far too fussy. I like simple food that I can actually taste.
Yes, and you can see what you're eating, you know.
We'd rather go away for that sort of money.
Yeah, go have a weekend away for that.
Well, this is Tony here.
Yeah.
We had really poor, Dean and I had really poor meals the last time we went to the Three Chimneys and the Loch Bay. And I was thinking, you know, for these prices, I could get a really top meal in Paris or London, New York or Los Angeles, you know, as opposed to average service and, you know, pretty average food.
Yes.
So, and I think the same about the cost of accommodation. We looked for a friend at accommodation one night in Skye, all the hotels, £270 up to £480 for one night bed and breakfast.
That's ridiculous.
My friends decided they would stay at the Gleneagles for slightly longer, and it was actually cheaper than staying up in the Skye Hotel. And they had a superb room in the Gleneagles. Cheaper.
Yes, I think, you know, all the time COVID's around and people are sticking in this country, you know, people are still going to charge these prices, but they're going to have to bring their prices down. I think they're really pricing themselves out.
I think the top places will always be able to charge top prices, and it's the ones that are not at that level that are sort of lower down that are going to have to cut their prices, because even the sort of simple bed and breakfasts have been overcharging in recent years. You know,
and the pods.
And the pods.
And the pods.
Yeah.
I know. You know, you get a pod and it's £120 a night for a pod, and there's no breakfast. Yes.
It's ridiculous. Yes.
Yeah.
Sky Lodges, just down the road from us here in Portree. Sky Lodges, that's the sort of price.
Yes.
Well, I might upset the whole thing. I don't know.
But years ago, people were just, as you were saying, Joy, people were quite happy just to have a bed for the night. But,
yes.
And people didn't book in advance, so they just turned up and took potluck. But nowadays nobody would do that, and that's partly internet driven, partly because you know, they want to look at where they're going and choose it and book it all in advance, which years ago you couldn't do. You know, our house, when we first moved into it, we didn't have ensuite rooms, and when we were doing B&B, and we had to put ensuites in because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to have guests because nobody wanted them anymore. So people's demands have and expectations have gone up so much over the years.
They have.
So that applies to lots of walks of life. So
yes,
students here at Reading, I mean, all the rooms are en suite. You know, this thing like in our day 40 years ago, you just shared and you never thought anything of it. But
that's
now,
right. Yeah.
And
but Phil, it was so much fun to share, wasn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, that'll do. We don't want to hear anymore.
I can remember being in a hostel, and there were 4 baths, and my girlfriends and I, we'd all run a bath, and we'd be in our separate cubicles, lying in the bath after sort of being out all night at some party. This would be 9 o'clock Sunday morning, and everyone having a good old chat and sharing the fun.
Yes.
So that's an old kind of, I mean, our sons now, who are the generation below, think it's kind of, that's rather endearing, but I mean, it was just what you did. So
yes,
in all levels of society, and you know, like students and hospitality, everything's moved on, isn't it?
It has. It
Buy a new
has.
house now, and it's got 4 toilets you've got to clean.
Mm.
So,
you buy a car now, and it's got windscreen wipers.
No, I remember my first car didn't have a heater in it.
Mine as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, things have moved on.
That's what they call the good old days.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Megan, you'll be laughing at us all, but you're so much younger than the rest of us, but every generation does this, of course, don't they?
Yeah. Oh yes. 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 I think we better stop.
Megan, was that ensuite at your halls of residence?
No, I didn't have ensuite. George.
They know actually muted.
He did.
He's very excitable.
No, really.
Yeah.
But we had a communal bathroom. But there was posh ones with ensuites. But I didn't have a posh hall.
Oh, you were let down by your mum and dad.
My violin.
Okay. Well, any other questions?
There we go. No. Well, can I just officially say thank you very much to Joy, and yeah, just simply say
Very interesting,
that
Joy.
was excellent. As I say, I've watched that film a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one is Joy, but I will. What I'm going to do is going to take a snapshot of the room and then post it on Facebook and find out.
It's right near the beginning in the Black House.
Oh right, in the
Cayley.
Okay,
yes.
Right. Well, hang on for a minute.
Yes, in the Cayley next to Peter.
Let's have a look. So let me see if we can do that. So can you see that? Let's go back. See if we can actually find this then. Hold on. I thought that would be interesting. So I can run it through to the clip. There we go. Should be there.
No.
Joy is to Peter's right. When you get to it, Joy is to Peter's right.
Okay. So let's
or left of Peter if you look at it.
There we are.
There, any minute now.
There.
There she is.
That was me.
That was Joy.
That was me.
So whereabouts?
Just on that.
Whereabouts? A room full of blokes.
But there's a better one. I think if you play on.
Sorry, which one are you?
I can't see in that picture.
Oh right. Okay. Hang on. Let's just
run it again. And then
any minute.
Any minute.
Yeah.
You've gone past it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Oh,
isn't this fun?
Yeah. Let's see what we can do.
There. That's Joy. That's you. There's Peter.
There.
Right. Oh well, there you go. Gosh.
Gosh. I was so young.
Well, you haven't changed much, Joy.
No. I was. Well, I must have done because you didn't recognise me.
Oh, no,
we did.
And I recognised you.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, thank you very much, Joy. That was really enlightening. As I say, it's really nice to have that local history and to have some bones on it. So it was so fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. It was quite nice to share it with everybody.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you so much,
Joy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Bye.
hopefully see you all next month, and we'll post a bit later what that is. We've got a few ideas, so
okay.
We'll keep that up our sleeves at the moment. Okay.
Okay then.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.